2006 when they needed an executive director again. I was working for an architect. My specialty is in lighting and electrical design, and the housing market crisis that happened, right? And so we were missing and losing a lot of work on a daily basis. So I put my hand up for that job as executive director. I took that job. They saw what real part-time hours looked like, and then in 6 months they hired me full-time. So I was the first full-time executive director in Delaware, and we saw our vacancy rate go from 50%, over 50% to next to nothing. I think at the time that I left the Main Street program, we were at full occupancy on the ground level, and then we were utilizing 2/3 of our upper story spaces. And that's not a unique story for Delaware. Our Main Street programs, like Millersburg, who is one of our smallest communities, has seen this same turn happen where they are facing almost no vacancies on their ground floors, and also seeing their upper stories being developed and utilized. All of that to say that I've worked in every capacity when it comes to Main Street. I've volunteered, I've shoveled horse shit out of the street, and I've planned a whole event on my own. I mean, there's a lot of breadth of involvement from the community when it comes to these organizations, and ultimately, most communities feel like it's the responsibility of the building and business owners to provide revitalization in the downtown. And speaking to a room mostly of building and business owners, I'm here to tell you it is not your responsibility. You all are already paying the dues on your responsibility. You have invested your life savings in most instances into businesses and buildings, and it is the community's responsibility to pull together and assist those building and business owners in the revitalization effort.
What we focused on is trying to get life down here, and one of the things we've done is, as a group, we've started creating events.
Okay.
We got 2 events a year. One is in June, or no, that's July. Sorry, one's in July and one's in October.
Okay.
The July event is the antique car show. October, there is a Jeep event. What we've done is got one of the local Jeep clubs. They're very involved in the area, and they come down here. Last year we had 30, 40 Jeeps lying down the street in a Halloween theme. Every one was decorated.
Right.
So it was a good time, and that's our goal, is to try to get more foot traffic in an area where people walk away from.
They just simply aren't in touch with, or like I said, endeared to their downtown. In the last 20 plus years since I started telling my grandmother's stories in the downtown, I have had those stories repeated back to me as if they were that were coming into the downtown, and that made a huge difference in, first of all, awareness that this isn't this destitute place where you don't want your kids wandering around, right? There are open businesses here, there are resources here for the kids, there are potential jobs here for those college students, right? And so we started doing little walking tours, and I adapted my tour to talk all about the things that are happening now. Because the college kids don't give a damn if that building belonged to, Moses, blah, 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 right? They don't care about that. And to be real frank about it, most of the parents don't either. They just want to know, where am I sending my kid? Are there things that are walkable and approachable for them? And then we started working also with the downtown merchants, because we figured out that when the kids did go into the stores, they were not being greeted very nicely, right? So making sure that we handed out Ohio Wesleyan pennants to all the businesses, so that there was some sort of Ohio Wesleyan garb in those storefronts, so that the students would see a reflection of themselves in those storefronts. We also did like a survey or audit of the downtown businesses. Are there actually things in each business that a college student could afford to buy, right? And then the businesses that did not have that, then we worked with the businesses. How can you add another product or something that would appeal to the college students in order to, further integrate those students into our downtown? what are you all hoping to get from this meeting today? Other than the few things that you mentioned.
I'll go
already.
first. I want to triple my sales.
Okay.
That's what I would like ultimately. You know, like I want to be an attraction. Like they have a museum. We have, you know, they have mad cats, crazy dogs where you can pet cats and stuff like that. They have some stuff on lock that I think people will come from other places.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just, you know what I mean? Like everybody has their different thing, but like there's an attraction here. There is a desire, there is things to do. Just the trust isn't there between, you know, the people and the businesses.
Okay. Steve.
Sometimes he's right about the trust because of the shadow that we have, but we've actually dispelled that somewhat. And the thing about it is that, what are you doing to me? The thing about it is that we want the downtown to pop. We used to have, when we were out at the other place, and we even have it here sometimes, people walk in the door and they go, wow, wow. And we had it all the time out there. We have it here, but we had it out there as well. And when they did that, I looked at my son and says, that's the wow factor. When they're wowed, they're going to leave here if they buy anything or not, and they're going to tell somebody else you got.
Unless we're creating a mall-like corridor,
Right.
then you're not giving them an experience.
I agree.
Whenever I talk to communities that have farmers markets, for instance, that's just one small example, then I always ask them, why do you have a farmers market? And if they tell me, well, to sell fresh produce, to help the farmers, to make sure that our community's getting access to food, those are all wrong reasons for downtown revitalization. They're great reasons, don't get me wrong. I go to my farmer's market, I buy my tomatoes, you know, I mean, I'm a diehard farmer's market gal. However, if I'm using the farmer's market as a downtown revitalization tool, then I have to think like a mall manager. I can't think like a farmer's market manager. I don't care if my farmers can come in and have the convenience of doling their food out of the back of their truck. That is not my responsibility. I don't care if people have a hard time finding parking. Praise be, I hope you did have a hard time finding parking, right? If you had an easy time finding parking, then we've got a bigger problem to deal with. So you have to really talk about why are we doing the things that we're doing, and are they satisfying what the ultimate goal is? And so by virtue of a farmer's market, so many downtown revitalization groups do a farmer's market, and I'll give you a great, for instance, Medina, super successful downtown, right? They do a farmer's market on their square,
Right.
right?
Yep,
Guess what? It doesn't help the downtown merchants. And you want to know why? Because people come, they park, they go onto the square, they walk the farmers market vendors, and then they get in their car and they leave.
But they go around that square.
They don't go across the street to the merchants.
So we experience that too. So we have festivals on this street, and literally, if the festival is on that side, no one's coming in here.
That's right.
And it's
That's what I'm saying,
and
Fourth Street, because on one side of
it could be
Fourth
right
Street,
in front of my business, and if I'm not on the front porch handing out flyers, like waving people down,
Right.
there is no flow of traffic.
Yeah.
Like it just goes to that spot and they leave.
Well, and if you think about it, ever since the invention of the Walmart type store, we have taught people one-stop shop. That's the training of our brains over the last 30 plus years, is that I want to get in my car one time, I want to drive immediately to that space, I want to see the front door of the place that I'm going to, and get in and get out. But that's not what we're going after.
That's State Street.
What we're going after is that
Nostalgia.
right, and when I talk to a family who came to my farmer's market, and because they came to our farmer's market in Delaware, from Worthington, mind you, where they have a great farmer's market, a great downtown, decided that not only did they love our farmer's market and want to come there every weekend, but they bought a house. And then they actually bought a downtown building, and then the husband opened his business in the downtown in Delaware. You can't monetize that kind of economic impact to your community, and it was simply because our farmers market had live music, had food demonstrations, we had people walking up and down the sidewalks, we crammed people in. I want people doing this, right? I want the ADA people out there running their tape, making sure I've got 5 foot of clearance, because that tells me that the perception is that we don't. And so you want people jogging along on your sidewalks. We don't want to make everything easy. We want to make it cozy. We want to make it experiential. When you all are talking to me about a model of what the downtown might look like, right? Those are infrastructure things. That's not your silver bullet. I've got some beautifully laid out, wonderfully planted, gorgeous downtowns that still don't have any people in them. Family friendly. I mean, the brew pubs are no longer the dive bars of my generation. Now, I'm not dissing on dive bars. I don't want y'all to get me wrong, because that's the first place I'll hunt out in a new community. I love to see the dive bar. However, the building of the family friendly atmosphere is by far one of the most prolific downtown activities that's happening. I'm going to go into that event and tell you all the things that you probably shouldn't have done. So that's the big problem, is a lot of communities they spend months planning the big event, right? Or 2 big events a year, right? That typically takes you probably 6 months or better to plan that event.
Year
The minute that it's over, then you start planning next year, right?
Yep.
Because then you're looking back at this, right? What did we do wrong? What can we do better? How can we improve? Blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, I wrote down rain. If rain is going to kill you, then you've got to weatherproof it. Things cannot. Whenever communities start to do events and activities, I always tell them your rain plan is that everyone gets wet. So how can we make it so that it's attractive regardless of whether it rains? Because you know what happens when you have a bunch of people in the street and it rains? They run like ants inside all the buildings, inside all the businesses. So we have to rain-proof things. Second of all, you said you had a stage. Don't ever have a stage. If I can make an announcement at an event and everyone can hear me, then we failed. When it comes to downtown revitalization, that's why I say, ask yourself, why are we throwing this event? Are we throwing this event so that everybody can hear some live music and stand in a cattle stall and drink some beer? If you are, great. It's not that I have anything against those events, but if you're throwing events to actually put sidewalk feet on your sidewalk, and then allow business owners to pull those people into their businesses, sequestering them, putting them into a parking lot or behind a cattle fence because that's the only way you can serve alcohol, or providing centralized entertainment, those all go completely against downtown revitalization. The other thing is that you could spend a quarter of the amount of time and plan an event every single month. This is why I'm still on the First Friday bandwagon. I think First Friday is absolutely the key to doing what we really want events to do, which is to retrain the brains of the people who live here. You can't rest on your haunches and hope that the tourism bureau is going to bring a bunch of people in a bunch of buses here. You all have to survive in your current businesses on the people that are here every day. So how do we retrain their brains? Well, it has to be sort of
consistent.
Yeah, it has to be, absolutely has to be consistent. It has to be something they can count on every single month. That's why First Fridays are successful, because people in communities who do that, they stop reading the materials. They don't even care what's happening on First Friday anymore, right? It makes no difference to them. They just come like zombies to the downtown. And then here's the other thing that happens. When you have a whole community, you're not just dealing with people who love the carnival-like atmosphere. You're dealing with people like me who absolutely hate crowds. So guess when I'm gonna come? On the Friday after, or the Friday after that. And so in communities that are successfully doing 12 months a year of First Fridays, they are seeing that crowd bleeding into every other Friday. Most of my communities that are successfully doing 12 months of First Fridays see 45-minute waits in their restaurants on non-First Fridays. Because the crowd is prolific enough that you can't even encapsulate them, right? So for easily 5 years, we did First Fridays in Delaware every single Friday, every single First Friday, every single month, 12 months out of the year, regardless of rain, regardless of snow, regardless of weather, and didn't spend any money. That's the key. So first and foremost, I love helping communities set up organizations, and I hear what Steve's saying about, you know, the implosion that happens when you have this crazy hierarchy happening, and most organizations are in some way very dysfunctional, right? And most of the reason for that is that we put people in leadership roles in perpetuity. There's no training up of new leaders, there's no adequate way to pull new people in. Most of the time when I go to communities and I say, okay, this is great, you have this organization, I'm brand new to the community, how do I get in? Most of the time they say, well, you gotta know Roger and he owns that, you know what I mean? And then I've got this trail of, what the hell? How am I supposed to get in this organization when you all don't even have anything, right? And then also, by virtue of that, the people that are in that organization, number one, get unduly attached to things that are not working. I've been in the communities where you've got Susie, who's been running the craft fair for the last 30 years, except it's not a craft fair anymore because there are no crafts, it's just crap. Right? And they have like 5 vendors, but everybody's scared to death because Susie has done this since she was 35, and now she's 85, and she'll be heartbroken if we don't have the craft fair anymore, right? But then on the other side of that, no one has ever been allowed to breathe new life into that, or to put new ideas in it and help those things that are successful in this time and place continue to be successful in a future time and place, right? So Steve, while I totally understand you, and I'm all about the grassroots, like I fought a cell tower in my neighborhood, and we all just like banded together, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. We just weren't going to let that happen. And I totally hear you, and I want you
I'm
all
not
to
the
be.
boss. I'm not trying to be the boss.
No. I hear you. So ideally, in communities like this, and mainly what I've said about Sarah, is that when I'm building an organization in a community, then I tell them I want a reflection of the community around the table. I want a business owner, I want a building owner, I want someone from the city, someone from the county, a homeowner, somebody from your school system, somebody from your library system, somebody, so that when you put that kind of board together that isn't too heavily weighed in any direction, then you don't have this toppling of the apple cart because I have too many people having this one opinion. And then also in communities that have multiple organizations like you all are talking about, all communities have multiple organizations. Is it the mission of any of those organizations to revitalize the downtown?
No.
The only one that I can say that talks about it, that I've heard from them, is the Preservation Society. They've talked about, they're the ones that made these Lamborn building plaques on the walls. They made it for every business up and down. They put that together, and when we did our last event, they gave tours.
Okay.
So they were doing the tour guide thing. They had a table set up out when people came up. They
So
took them
maybe
in
they're a
groups.
good partner for you all to tap into.
Well, we piggybacked off of them from
Yeah.
501c through
Oh, got
the
you.
events.
So they work as a fiscal agent or
Right,
something
right.
for you. Great,
Yeah.
great. And there's nothing wrong with continuing to do that. If you all have a fiscal agent set up and you can do what you need to do, if you need permits from the city for the sidewalk to do First Fridays, things like that, as long as you can do that without having a 501c3, I feel like that's inconsequential.
We do. We get all of our permits just as a group.
Yeah.
anytime we've done it. We just go down to the city and say, hey, we need to shut down the street on this day. Is it available? Yes, it is. Okay, what, we need the barricades, here's the check.
Yeah.
And they drop off the barricades Friday morning, and then, or Friday morning, it's ready for Saturday.
Right. So what I'll say to you is that I can help you all do this however you want. It belongs to you. Whatever this effort is, belongs to you all. Typically, I would not set up a Main Street organization with all building and business owners. First Friday type activities that you all can do that does not involve closing the street. The only time that you all would need to start closing the street is if your sidewalks are so packed with people that the police department comes to you and says, we gotta close the streets for this. And that's what happened with our First Fridays. We did not close the street. We did not attempt to or go that direction. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to hear about it, right? But then eventually it got such that in order to navigate the sidewalks, people were going out and around the cars into the street to walk. And that's when the police department said, Francis, we have got to start closing the streets. And I said, hey, then that's on you, not on me. And business owners weren't all pissed off at me, right?
Right.
So, so closing the street is not a necessity. You can provide, and I know it might sound counterintuitive, but our goal was that a family of 4 could come downtown, spend the whole evening, and not spend any money. So we solicited local churches to provide kids activities. We also solicited local churches to come and give away food. If you talk to your local food vendors like Cisco, Gordon, you know, those big food vendors that supply your restaurant, most of the time they will give food away. They usually have samples of new things or whatever. I mean, we just rolled propane grills into the downtown and grilled hot dogs and gave them away. You don't have to have permits to do that because you're giving food away. The health department doesn't care if you make somebody sick as long as you're not making any money.
That's true.
It's true. It's absolutely true. They get
Now,
all
what does that
mad
do
when you say that.
what does that do for the restaurants in the area?
The person who's going to grab a free hot dog wasn't going into the restaurant anyway. So what that does is it helps to build that hustle and bustle on the street. You allow vendors to come in, you allow musicians to come in. I didn't even assign them spaces. At first it was sort of like, okay, we're gonna do a free-for-all until we can't. And so I didn't even have to organize where everybody was gonna go or assign any spaces. Eventually it got to where we had to do that because we had so many people registering to be at the events. And also, that's when we started charging them to be there, right? So then it goes to like a $35 registration fee, for instance. But in the beginning, to do a monthly event, pick a theme. So February, we always did a chocolate walk. And super simple, this is how we did the chocolate walk. We went to each merchant and said, do you want to participate in the chocolate walk? Well, what do I have to do? You have to provide chocolate candies for 50 people. I don't care what the candy is, it'd be great if it related to your business in some fashion, right? So the local hair salon, for instance, got 50 little samples of chocolate shampoo, right? And then they did a chocolate hand scrub, a 5-minute chocolate hand scrub for people, right? So they held people there, right, in their business, and then they gave them a little sample of chocolate shampoo. The bar gave out chocolate shots, so you down your shot and then out on the street you go. Our Sherwin-Williams paint store gave out paint chips that were matched to M&Ms, right? So each business gave something. We kind of guided the businesses and said, think about this as a marketing opportunity. Don't just hand out a Hershey's Kiss, right? Think about your business and provide something meaningful that will make people remember when they get home with their little chocolate bag where they got that chocolate from. Now, of course, I had some businesses that really did just put a bowl of Hershey's Kisses out. Well, shame on you. You missed an opportunity to market yourself to 50 people. So you start small, 50 people. You sell 50 tickets. I promise you that if you put on your social media, we have only 50 tickets to our very first chocolate walk in downtown Alliance. Those are gonna sell out like this because people are doing chocolate walks all over the place. So then it's a rain or shine event. One of our chocolate walks, it was almost 20 below zero, and there was snow flying. But I didn't have one single ticket that didn't get picked up that night. Not one single ticket. So you provide like a little half sheet list of all the businesses that participate. I don't care if it's only 5 businesses. It doesn't make any difference. You're not saying that they're going to go home with a whole bag full of chocolate. You're offering that experience. So I put them in geographic order because it's cold outside. I want to be nice to people, right? You put them in geographic order around the little map of your downtown. I'm sure that one of you can design a little map, right? And then you just print those, and you get one of you could probably order little handle paper bags, right? You're merchants, you can find that outlet, right? So you haven't spent any money. All the businesses are doing is spending the money to have whatever chocolate they want. If they want to spend $1 a chocolate, if they want to spend 25 cents a chocolate, that's up to them. But you're not providing the chocolate. Super simple, just like your Trollmania, you're getting people in the door, and then hopefully those businesses have put also a little coupon on there for a return visit prize or be entered into a drawing. Pick your March for Art first Friday. You all seem to like that idea. So I'll send you the beginnings of a work plan. And then what you do in this group is you sit here and you brainstorm. What are all the things that need to happen in order to make this activity happen? And we do a total brain dump under tasks, things that need done, right? And then next to that, it says by when does it need to be done? And we put together our timeline. And then we try to estimate how much time is it going to take to do that one job. So if my job is to solicit all of the art teachers in the county, right? How much time do I think that's going to take? Well, there's 25 schools, probably each call is going to take me at least 30 minutes, right? You estimate how much time is that task going to take in your meeting. And then you all start to brainstorm about who can do that specific job. We do not recruit to a meeting. We do not do a cattle call in the newspaper. We're having this March for Art. Please, for the love of God, come and help us. Right? We don't do that. No one will come, will they? They will not come. It'll be crickets. Don't have a big volunteer event where you collect a bunch of email addresses. That's useless. Completely useless. Unless you're going to engage those people within 24 hours of getting their email address with something specific for them to do, you've lost them already and you've lost all your effort.
I hate showing up somewhere and there's not something.
That's right. And volunteers don't raise their hand to do nothing.
Right.
So then I take that job, right? Soliciting all of the art teachers. I know it's going to take about 10 hours worth of time. There's probably 2 months before that needs to be completed. And then we talk in the meeting. Okay, who do we know? Who is the person that's going to do that one job?
Who likes art?
There you go.
wants to
Who
go to
likes
school?
art? Who has a contact at the city? Who has a contact at the schools? Right? Well, I know a librarian that works at the elementary school. She's
Yeah.
friends with the art teacher. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, then who's going to ask her to do this job? And when you ask her to do this job, you're going to say, we talked about you at a committee meeting. We're putting together this March for Art event. It's going to be super exciting. We thought that you'd be the perfect person to contact all the art teachers for us. And what we want them to do is this. Here's the one-pager of instructions. Here's the script of what you're going to say to the art teachers. Here's where the artwork needs to be dropped off and by when.